event. I'm delighted today to have Joshua Zaidel. Josh was a member of the oldest college Optimist Club when he was a student at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. During his time with UW-Whitewater Student Optimist Club, Josh held many positions, including president, and was chair for the semi-annual blood drive, which collected over 600 pints of blood in 1 year. After college, Josh helped charter the Metro Milwaukee Optimist Club and was a charter member of the board of directors. Josh has served on the what is it? SWIS is
Southern Wisconsin.
Southern Wisconsin District as membership chair, district secretary treasurer, and as governor. He's also been very involved with the district oratorical contest over the years. And Josh is now vice president-elect of the Great Plains region of Optimist International, and is looking forward to traveling to different districts and meeting many more optimists around the world. And Josh is going to talk to us about technology, its use in the Optimist clubs. Thanks, Josh. Welcome.
Thank you, Albert. I'm happy to be here. I know a few of my Optimist friends down there in the Gateway district, so it's nice to see some familiar faces and see a whole bunch of new faces of new friends I'm making today. It was really nice to sit through your meeting this morning and see your attention to detail when it came to how you do your voting and all that jazz. So it was nice and definitely gives me some things I can bring back to my district to tighten things up in that regard. So thank you for letting me participate in that. I'm gonna do something that I've never done before. So wish me luck.
Pivot table?
No, I've done a lot of pivot tables. That's not going to work. All right, we're going to do this. Give me 1 second. I have something to share. That's what I'm trying to get ready here. So while it looks like a PowerPoint's coming up, I'm going to let you know that this will not be one of those boring old-fashioned PowerPoints that's just going to have a ton of words on the screen. So just bear with me from that regard. Move this. Perfect. Okay, so right now we are all sitting at home because in certain parts of the world, most of the world, we kind of have to be. And that's led us to a point in time where our world has changed. And as optimists, we have an opportunity to change with the world and move into the future. And I kind of want to share some things we're doing virtually in my club district, things that I'm doing virtually with Optimist International, and things other people are, just to have ideas. So while this is important now because we're all at home, this is also important in the future to basically create a more inclusive and accessible environment for our clubs, for our districts, so that we can get our word out and our message out. Perfect example, trying to find her name again, but I saw at least one person driving in a car during this meeting, which is awesome, right? So that person probably wouldn't be able to be at your conference this weekend had you not had a virtual option. So you've got at least one additional person who's hearing the messages that might not have been able to. So with a little practice around some of the virtual applications, we can make some pretty cool events, and the members can attend from their living rooms instead of having to travel across town, across districts, across international lines, across oceans. Brings our world into a smaller place. All right, so I want to put some emphasis on how our world is changing. Dave Wilson this morning alluded to it. You know, we've kind of been skirting around this issue worldwide. I know in the business world, we're trying to figure out how to be relevant in terms of keeping employees who are now used to working from home. I know I don't want to go back into a stuffy office full time. So as an organization, we need to be in tune with the times and figure out how to make that work, figure out how to get people on their own terms, people on their own schedule involved. So do you remember taxis? I do. And when Uber came to Milwaukee, I was really anxious about it, right? Because my mom always told me, don't get into cars with strangers. And Uber came around and basically you called the stranger and said, can I get in your car? So I was trying to continue my use of taxis, right? I used to live downtown, so we'd go out, and you don't want to drive when you go out because bad things happen then. But it became harder and harder to find a taxi, and easier to just hit the button on your phone. And the taxis finally got with the program, but I think a little too late in order to get that virtualness on demand, and basically the transportation industry got disrupted. That's how I see us as optimists. We need to get ahead of this curve of there's a new digital world and people can volunteer differently. And if we're going to just use our same old stuff, meetings in person, we're not going to be able to keep ourselves going into the future. So what do we need to do? I've got 3 pieces: distract, educate, entertain. That's what the people want. So how do we use digital means to distract? How do we get people to have something to look forward to? So my friend Marlene this morning mentioned about Instagram accounts. Instagram, Facebook, email, what can our clubs do to keep promoting what's coming next? What can our district do to keep promoting what's coming next, giving people something to look forward to in a world where they're either not able to leave their house because of health regulations or not able to leave their house because of illness or disability or the ability to travel. We can use a lot of these tools to give them something to look forward to. So for instance, next Friday is a wonderful big event. I'll get into it a little down the line, but we have a fun event coming up that a lot of people are excited to go to. It kind of makes you able to look forward to something is all I'm saying. One of the other big things that we can do is educate. So we're all used to having these in-person conferences where we do training, we have fellowship, all that jazz. But are there other ways that we can bring this education component to our members? And I want to talk about a few different ways to do that here. So I've got this slide up. What does a productive club meeting look like? And this is where I would like some audience participation if you're willing. And so I know it's just after lunch, so I want to get people talking again. Where's the thing? There it is. So if you there we go. This is the question I'm asking. What does a productive club meeting look like? So before pandemic, during pandemic, after pandemic, I'd like you to go to your participants window, raise your hand, and we'll call on you. Otherwise, if we only have one at a time or a couple people, unmute yourself and feel free to share what does a club meeting that's productive mean? Sweet. I'm gonna get Jana.
Yes, hi, Jana Shackley. Always having an agenda ready to go and sent out in advance, always.
Right on. Cowboy Mike, what do you think?
Well, for us, a successful meeting always was just, we really sort of, I think our club really was tied together with fellowship. If a member had been missing, let's say we meet every week, meet every week except the last week of the month when in person. And when a member came in that hadn't been there for 2 or 3 meetings or so, it was a celebration. People were laughing and talking to them, et cetera, et cetera. And it really brought a sense of connection. And for us, that was, I think, key to the meeting. When people left the Optimist Club meeting, they felt good about being there.
Awesome, thank you. Scott, what does your productive meeting look like?
Yeah, it's just an observation on what I see within a productive meeting and a non-productive. And the productive meetings last as long as it needs to last to take care of the business, rather than trying to last the entire time you have booked out. And so that's what I've noticed with productive meetings. They're driven by what you're planning to accomplish rather than trying to fill time.
Efficiency is what we want. Gwen.
Yes, one key distinction, I mean, yes, Jana mentioned the agendas, reminders are important. And nowadays, how many times do you get a message, oh, I can't find the Zoom link? So you can never overdo the reminder about the Zoom link, even if you're sending it out at 1:15. So you can never over remind. Once again, here's the Zoom link. Once again, even if it's the same Zoom link you've used all year.
I am in super agreement with that, Gwen. I have been to many meetings where at the last minute I'm scrambling to figure out how to get into it. I definitely hear you. Okay, so this kind of sums up, whoops, what we kind of were discussing here. So in my mind, when I look at these in-person pre-pandemic meetings, everybody was in the same location. Everyone had travel time. Sometimes the meetings were inconvenient. We got distracted, chatting and fellowship. I mean, that's all very, very good. But when you're in person, you've got, 40 people in a room. There's a lot of stuff going on. It can be distracting. I'm going to say I've been to some boring meetings. I don't know if anybody else has, but the good thing about a virtual meeting is you can avoid some of that distraction if you can keep your meeting efficient to your time table. Here's the 5 things we need to accomplish. Everything gets 5 minutes. We got a 30-minute meeting, in and out, get people focused, and then get people moving on. I think is something that is, we can utilize this virtual platform to help us do that, whether that's a hybrid meeting or whether that's a completely virtual meeting. So even if you're in person, having that and knowing that, we've got this video component for people who aren't able to make it, helps you keep kind of on that schedule. So I want you all to think about too then who the members are in your club and who you want as members of your club. So as our experiences in the world grows more diverse, we want to be able to attract new, exciting, interesting, and different members into our club. And that's going to be the key to longevity. So that's exactly kind of what this virtual platform could give us into the future. Meetings where it's convenient for people. So we want different groups of people. We want different occupations. You know, I come from Wisconsin, so we have a lot of farmers up here. Farmers have deadlines for milking, deadlines for plowing. You know, pop some headphones as they're running through, hooking up their cows to the machinery, being able to listen to a meeting, hearing what's going on with their club, hearing what's going on in their community. You know, tax season, I don't know, I think we've got a lot of accountant type folks who are optimists. Seems like a thing, or maybe I'm just attracted to them as a fellow accountant. You know, busy season is busy season, and there's 4 months a year where a public accountant can't really attend a meeting, but you know, they could sit in their office for 30 minutes and still be a good participant. What about people who have aging parents that they're helping care for? Somebody who would love an opportunity to interact with their friends. You know, you've got grandma sitting with you because you gotta, you know, help her out. Why not have her come to the meeting with you? She gets to see some people besides the few caregivers coming in and out of the home. And you also get to attend your event without having to worry about grandma being alone. Maybe you're in charge of the carpool and you can listen to the meeting and figure out when the next volunteer event is while your kids are in the back seat talking about their day at school. If somebody who's got interesting hobbies and they're close to finishing a project, maybe they could do some of that while listening onto a finance committee call that doesn't need complete attention. I've even been on a meeting where somebody was on break from their factory job. They just put their little phone up at their little workstation and had their 30-minute meeting, cut out at the end, and went back to whatever machine that they were working on. And then I also want to make a point of this too, is I think we forget about the people who don't have or aren't used to using a computer or that kind of technology. All these meeting platforms, Zoom, I don't know what the other ones are. Losing my brain cells here. The meeting platforms have call-in numbers. So like if you don't have a computer or you don't have access to the internet at a time, you can be on your phone. You can be easily accessible. You don't get the whole video experience, but there's still a way for those people to interact through the meeting as well. So a virtual meeting is going to allow you to engage members where they are and when it's convenient. This one I think is being recorded. So yeah, record them. You can allow for playback who've missed it. It's really nice for taking notes. I know as a secretary of certain organizations, when I'm on a meeting, I'm always like, I want to record. I don't, I'm not going to get everything. So I can play it back later, make sure all my notes are good, and all that jazz. So there's also an opportunity to get our members engaged without having to go to a meeting place, which is good for people's busy lives. 100 years ago when Optimist International formed, we didn't have the world we live in today. We didn't have all this stuff going on. We didn't have carpools and kids in 10 different sports and the craziness in our world today. So however we can move into a direction to accommodate members who have busy lives, the better. We also want to be relevant in our communities. And in order to be able to serve the youth, we need to be consistently moving forward with the times. Again, many businesses now are looking at how we do work, where we do work, when we do work. And as an organization like us, we need to not be afraid to think about how we can change to work into the future. Okay, so here's where I'm going to start sharing some interesting ideas about ways you can use the technology to have cool events, cool meetings, etc. So we have some clubs that are doing Student of the Month virtually. So it's the same program we've been doing all along, but now we're just taking to it and doing a video thing. So families across the nation are all getting used to using some form of virtual learning, whether that's completely virtual, a hybrid, where they're in school a couple days a week, at home a couple days. So the families are used to these these online interactions. So if you used to have a Student of the Month, try hosting them on a Zoom account. You can invite the student and the adults they live with, which is kind of the traditional thing that we do. Using Zoom, though, we can invite, I'm going to use the term a million, but not a million other people. Do they have a favorite teacher who might want to attend their Student of the Month ceremony? Do they have aunts and uncles, cousins, grandparents, other friends, teachers, counselors? With the power of the video and the internet, we can actually have more people at those meetings. That is going to make it even more special for that student to receive their Student of the Month award because they've got such a big audience. I know from doing the oratorical contest, a lot of our students will come with 6 or 7 additional people to our club contest because they want their parents, and maybe it's 2 sets of parents and their brothers and sisters and a teacher and an uncle. So I think this allows us to expand that scope even more. My grandparents lived in Arizona, so they couldn't attend stuff. Well, doing this, we can provide that opportunity, which I think is super cool. Okay, I'm gonna move maybe up a little level here. So zone meetings. I don't know if this is a district that does zone meetings. We, in the Swiss southern Wisconsin, sometimes do well at them, sometimes don't do well at them. But I think one of the barriers is, okay, now I got another weekend meeting to go to, or a weeknight meeting involves travel, so I don't want to deal with that. Where do you find a location? We have these tools now that people are generally used to using. Why not host Zoom meetings or zone meetings via Zoom? Hey, presidents, you and a member of your club, come pop on, once a month. We just want to have a little chat, see what everybody's doing, see if anybody needs help, how we can work together. And make it a real nice kind of open forum. Definitely would be a use for the technology. There's a thing out there called Zoom It Around the District. This is something that I think it's East Missouri district has put together. And basically they just have a Zoom call every Wednesday, and every Wednesday has a different topic, and some are super optimist related, and some are more fun related. So I've gone to a few of these. They've kind of opened them up a little further to anybody who wants to attend. But one was talking about how do you start and work with clubs for individuals with special needs. Another was I'm gonna call it like a Christmas party. So we played, Christmas Pictionary and did this singing thing. So it's a real nice way to interact and build relationships. So I know that's one of the things we talked about. Why do we have meetings? We want to have FaceTime with people. We want to build those relationships. This is a way to do it. I know this isn't quite like in person, but it's pretty in person-ish. And I can tell you that, I'm super excited for the Atlanta convention because I've made so many friends on Zoom that I actually want to see what they look like in person versus just seeing their little box. So we can utilize these tools to actually do that that fellowship. And I agree. I think a couple of people said earlier that we're not getting burnt out. I'm not getting burnt out. Some people might be. I am in meetings all day long for my job, so it's a little, that part of it I'm getting burnt out on. What I'm not getting burnt out on is seeing my optimist friends after a day of work, or having to shovel, or something is in the news that's upsetting me. You can see a familiar face, which is, I think, one of the best things about being part of the optimist group. So zooming around the district, you could do this in your district, you could do this in your zone, you could do this in your club, have a weekly thing where anybody who wants to join joins. You chat about some stuff, it gives people an outlet. So Optimist International has the Optimist, oh, there's my spelling error. Pretend that says Optimist, all right? The Optimist Coffee Cafe, and there's a link down there if you want to type it out. Otherwise, just go to Google. That's google.com. Search for Optimist Coffee Cafe, and you'll get the link to it. It's basically a calendar of events. And these coffee cafes are hosted by various optimists from around the world. And they're just, everyone's got a different topic, everyone's got a different feel, but it's just a way for clubs to, or members, any members, to come and just talk about, what's going good in their club, what their hardships are. I'm finding it really hard to find teachers. What's some good ways to do that? I'm finding it really hard to get into the school system, or how do people approach businesses for Friend of Optimists donations, things like that. So there's just random topics. Also, the zooming around the district, those are listed on that calendar as well. And then the Optimist leadership group is kind of doing these tech talks. So there's one, this is shameful plug number one. On February 27th, I'm participating in a tech talk around free bookkeeping software from H&R Block that any club could use to do their book. So if anybody's using QuickBooks, or has a subscription to something, or is using Excel spreadsheets, pivot tables galore, this might be something of interest that you could go check out and see, oh, here's this program I can use that's going to do all these things for me. There's another one on Google Sheets. So it's kind of like the Microsoft Office suite, but free to anyone with a Gmail account. And so you'd be able to learn kind of how that works, and to be able to collaborate on documents. So now I want to talk about all the cool, fun stuff I've been involved with, I've known about, and is interesting to think about doing or joining, because a lot of this stuff is open to people. So number one is this program called Guessing Jams in Your Jam Jams, which is the coolest event ever. Basically, my friend Tracy Huxley and I, we get together every other Friday-ish. Yeah, it's just shameful plug number 2. And I'm putting a link to the registration in the chat. So it's a music trivia. It's a ton of fun. It's a few hours on a Friday night when you've got nothing going on. You don't need to know anything about music. You just gotta want to have fun. So you can guess what songs. You don't have to guess what songs. We play 25 songs-ish over the course of a few hours, all different genres, oldies but goodies, new songs, 60s and 70s. We might even play 50s. There's always like a theme. So like the theme we're gonna do this Friday is, because it's next Friday. Wait, today's Saturday. Yesterday was Friday. Next Friday, it's a Valentine's theme. So it's we're gonna do kind of like love songs, but we've done songs about weather, and we've done songs about friendship, and songs about I don't know, trees. Just, you know, we're creative of how we connect all these songs, and like I said, it's new songs, old songs, all that stuff. So it's fun to be around. So I put the link in there. If you want to just check it out, it's free, and we'd love to have everybody who wants to join. Pictionary. This is a fun thing. So through Zoom, you can share a whiteboard, and anybody can kind of draw on that whiteboard with your mouse. So you could have a Pictionary night, have some prizes for your club. Maybe this is something to do as a zone to get bragging rights for whichever club wins. You know, each club would be a team. But we did it at a Christmas event. So we were given a Christmas carol, and then you had to draw the Christmas carol. So we ended up with some pretty funny pictures and some pretty funny guesses. So that was a fun event. Maybe you've got some people who are used to having happy hours, but are not so willing to have happy hours out in a bar. One club had done this. Basically, they created a care package, and it included a couple beers, some pretzels, some snacks, and everybody in the club signed up. They got a list. There was a small fee, maybe like $12. Somebody went out to deliver these care packages, and then while delivering them, was able to socially distance chat with who they're bringing them to, so you can see a little bit of a face-to-face. And then they did a big Zoom meeting, and everybody kind of opened their beers or their wine or other beverages, and had to, say these 3 things about it. So basically, it was a way to get people interacting with each other on the screen, so you could see faces in a friendly environment. I mean, I love a good happy hour, so in person, online, happy hour is the way to go. Escape rooms. I don't know if anybody's ever done an escape room in person, but the way this kind of works digitally is you'd have a series of questions that people would have to answer. And then as they answer those questions, they get like clues into the next questions. And then the winning is if you kind of get the final question or riddle correct. The Wine Survivor. So this was a cool event that they did up in Canada. So this may or may not work in your area, depending on your local liquor and gambling laws, but you could do gift card survivor as well. And this one involves, so this one was cool because they used videos. So all the kids these days are like all into like videos. And I mean, by the kids, I mean anybody under, I'll put them under 37, then I can call them kids too. Basically what they did here was they collected a donation of a bottle of wine and $20 from essentially every person. And you, every day they called out like the raffle numbers, and the point was to be the last one called. So if you got called first, you were like out. And it was a bit complex, but they had teams. Basically, you get to the end, and whoever's left gets, you know, the team who's at the end gets 20 bottles of wine to give out to people. The team that was like second from the end gets 10 bottles of wine. The other team gets 5. So basically, you're collecting this wine, giving it out to the winners, and then while you're doing that, you're collecting the dollars as a fundraiser for your club. So if that's up your alley, that's something cool to do. And then they went on to Facebook Live, and then every day it would draw the raffle numbers. So you had that interaction where people could just be like, okay, every night at 7, I need to log in, and I'm gonna, you know, take 5 minutes, and it's gonna be a funny video, and they're gonna do some cool way to draw it tonight. You know, and get people enticed to kind of have that thing to look forward again to, you know. Bingo, the NGO. Looks like my friend Gwen there. Bingo night, February 19th. Sign up now. Bingo online is fun. The way they do it is it's really cool. The software, I mean, there's probably others, but there's a good one out there. Was it freebingocard.com? Google free bingo card, you'll get it. But it's a good time. It's something easy, something we're used to. Again, something we can look forward to and kind of help keep our minds off of stuff. So I have one last slide. This is my most boring slide. So here's what I want you to walk away with. We got to move forward to help increase our membership, make it easier for people to join our clubs, join our events, and learn about us. And the way to do that is talking to people and not being afraid to screw up, not being afraid to do something wrong. You know, let's say you're gonna do a Pictionary night because you're all jazzed about it. Nobody shows up. That's okay. You tried something new. Try something else, you know, the next time. So don't be afraid of that. And I would say spend some time to learn about and research these tools. So just like we spend time planning our oratorical contest and we spend time planning our Easter egg hunt, we should be like, this should be a club project. This should be a project that you've got some people in your club who are kind of championing how do we get and use digital to help our communities understand more about what our club is doing, help our communities learn more about our members, and help our communities become members. And having somebody dedicated to searching what are the cool new features of Zoom, or how do I do a virtual book club? You know, are there certain tips? Book club would be another good idea. What about a virtual knitting circle? I don't know if there's any knitters in the world, but you know, I think that's a thing, a knitting circle. I'm not sure, but I'd like it to be a thing if I knit. If you have a knitting circle, please invite me. I'd like to see what a knitting circle is all about. But you know, these events that we do in person can easily be taken to a new level and allow for people outside of our little small bubble to join. So I'm going to give a little bit of time here for some question and answer. But if you do have additional questions, if you want help, if you want to run things by me as just another set of ears, that's my contact information, my email address, and my phone number. I will accept calls and texts. If you do call, though, I probably won't answer, so leave a message and I'll call you back. Although if I get a call from somebody in Atlanta, I'll know it's not spam and I'll probably pick up. But so that's my info. So I've got a couple of hands that I see raised. So we're gonna run through those. I hope these people have good questions for me. Cowboy Mike, you look like you're number one here.
Okay, thank you, John. But first of all, just let me say this. I'm very impressed with how many different activities that you've outlined for us in this display. I would have never, if you put me, locked me up in a room and asked me or required that I produce 15 or 20 ways in which you could do these things, I think I'd fall short. But as I was watching this and listening to your presentation, the one thing that struck me, and this may not be something that many clubs have to face, when you have a lot of older members who are not tech savvy, and I'll add one other factor, and this is something I've discovered in more recent times. How many people are actively engaged in either Zoom or teleconference calls because of their church, their family, et cetera, et cetera. I'm beginning to wonder if it's even possible to find spaces. I remember you mentioned, for example, in some cases, some of these things can take up to even up to a couple hours. They don't have to. And very entertaining things. Boy, but I tell you, I'm kind of wondering, how do we even squeeze these things in now? First, for people who are so involved and so actively engaged in various activities. And then secondly, those folks that are just, I just had a member who just rejoined. I had a long conversation with, but I have not been able to get him to even come on the telephone to engage in our telephone conversations and stuff. That's the tough part, I think, for me, is how do you really get older members, particularly, get them engaged in any of these kinds of activities?
Great observations there. I think that is the thing, right? So we are all being brought into more and more things. I know that our music trivia, it takes a couple hours on a Friday night. To me, that's time that I would have spent at a movie theater. So, there's validity to what you're saying, definitely. But I think that if, we're not going to get everybody to come to everything all the time, but having this as an additional outlet just to keep people engaged. I know if I don't think about my Optimist Club because I got work and I got this and that, and I don't have something on my calendar to think about it, I don't think about it. But having something at least hey, remember we're doing this thing on Friday night. Even if you can't make it, I want to remind you that we're doing it, because that's going to keep the Optimist Club kind of front of mind. But yeah, I definitely see the points there. I think if we can help our older members, get into it. I know there's, I don't know what statistics, I could make them up because we're on the internet. But a majority of people have a smartphone. And so a majority of people, if we would just show them or guide them through, when you get this email on your phone, tap here and it'll open it up and that's all you really need to do. You know, the computer stuff to me is a little more difficult than doing it on a phone or a tablet. So if they do have a smartphone, I mean, I think that's definitely a way into getting them involved. Okay,
Thank you.
Ginger. Did you have more, Michael?
No, I was saying thank you very much.
You're welcome. Ginger, I see you had a hand up here.
Yes, I was just hearing what you were saying about people could call in and get on a Zoom meeting. Can they call in on a telephone? And
Yes. Yep.
that's something I would like to know more about.
So let me.
Hey, Josh, let me jump in. May I?
Yes.
Okay. Ginger, sometimes when we send out the Zoom invite, we select to only allow people who have PCs or tablets to come in. But more commonly, when we send out an invite for a meeting, there's also in the invitation a phone number, and it's you have a couple of choices of phone numbers, whether you want to call Washington D.C. or Chicago or whatever, and you dial that phone number, and then it asks you to punch in your meeting number and the meeting password. So then you're joining just as you can use just a regular landline, as we call them, to join the meeting. And you can do that with this meeting as well. With a smartphone or with some cell phones, there's a string of digits and characters included in that email invite, where you can punch that, you can paste that into your telephone dialer, and it will automatically connect you to the meeting. Back to you, Josh.
Can they respond, or can they speak to you through their telephone?
Absolutely. By default, when you join the Zoom meeting, your microphone is turned on. There, I don't normally use the telephone, but someone else can remind me. There's a code that you can punch into your phone to mute yourself, and then obviously there's another code for you to unmute yourself. So yes.
Actually, there is someone on this call right now. There's Zoom on a telephone.
Oh.
Not sure their name. And also on the telephone was the guy that was driving this morning. He was on one of his phones, but.
Yeah, so I've shared this for you and everyone, Ginger. So this was like the invite I got from Albert for this meeting. And there's like a link here, right, that I can click on my computer. But then down here, you have these phone numbers. So, and they're like all over. And I mean, in this day and age, I think most people with a cell phone have, you know, let's call it free long distance. But yeah, you basically say that it'll ask you for your meeting number and your passcode. And if you are on a smartphone, this actually will be a link. So if you open this email on your smartphone and you tap like on this, it'll just dial for you. These commas are essentially a wait. So it'll dial 1312, blah, blah, blah. It'll wait 5 seconds, it'll wait 5 seconds, then it'll put in this number pound, then it'll wait, 30 seconds, then it'll put in star 04872 pound. So the smartphone will just basically do it for you. But yeah, they can mute themselves. You know, and there's ways that if you have a poll, they can actually respond to the poll from their phone. A ton of different things. So if you're into Zoom, I'm going to give you this email address. Support.zoom.us. This will bring you to the Zoom Help Center. And this is like super helpful. Respond. It would be helpful if it would teach me how to type too. Okay, this is all about Polycom. Maybe I'm not gonna be able to find what I want, but this will this is where like if you have specific things you're looking at, you're gonna have to like spend some time researching like how to do it. But you definitely like I said, support.zoom.us, or for our Canadian friends, support.zoom.ca or something. You can put in a question and kind of get answers. This will give you video tutorials on how to configure meetings, how to record a meeting, doing audio and video stuff. I mean, it's a plethora of information, and it's good, useful information. My other suggestion, if you're looking for how to find things, is go to youtube.com, and in YouTube, type in like what you're looking for as well. There's probably some influencer out there who's got some video tutorials on how to do those things. Maybe that's what you could do as part of your shtick, Cowboy Mike, is do some YouTube tutorials.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate your help.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, if you let
Okay.
me put in
Let's
a
have
comment
one more.
there.
Let's have one more question. We've got Mitch here that wants to ask a question, and then we'll have to move on.
Okay, it's not a question in my case. I just want to point out that there is a Zoom app for your smartphone. And if you have CarPlay in your car, the Zoom app will work through that phone on your dashboard. I've only used it once. It's not said I usually have other ways, but if you just dial in, you can get in, or if you use the Zoom app, you can also connect. And if you use some of the codes, it'll go to your browser that's on your phone and work that way. So that there are a whole bunch of different ways of using a phone to get on.
Right. Thank you.
I'm going to end
Let's,
then. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to put my contact info again in the chat. So if you do want to reach out to me for anything, I'd be more than happy to follow up with any questions.
Josh, can you hang around for another 15 minutes? We'll take a 5-minute break, and maybe if there are a couple of more questions for Josh, we can allow those.
I certainly can, yes.
Okay, let's take a 5-minute break. Be back at 2 o'clock.